Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a game that was played between Tersee Ferdinand and Danyefa Callistus. Now, this is round 11 of the tournament, and I know that I have not provided like a lot of videos. I'm going to still provide them, but I need to keep you guys updated. So the next videos I'm going to bring out are going to be videos that will, because the tournament has ended, so I want you to know how the tournament ended, because there's hot gists, very many hot gists. But then before that, we have to we'll look at the games, and then we'll now look at the other games. I'll go back to the from round 1 to round 11 and see if I can get any game that is worth, like, shooting a video on and instructing you guys, like instructive games. Yeah. So we are moving into this round. Tersee was tied for second position alongside FM Danyefa Callistus, I am Balogun, and himself, of course. So now the number one had 7 points. Tersee and the remaining on number 2 had 6.5 points, and he's playing against one of those guys that have 6.5 points. So the thing is that Tersee had to win this game, and the number 1 had to draw the game if Tersee wanted to be in number 1 position. Yeah, or tied in number 1 position. So the question is now, is Tersee going to be able to defeat Danyefa Callistus, this very strong FM, and play the tiebreaker match against FM Abdurrahim and win the tournament? Abdurrahim, sorry. My God, names. Okay, so we had c4, e5. This is the English opening, for those of you who don't know. And in the English opening, the white plan is usually very obvious. White usually wants to attack on the queen side of the board. You will see some English openings that have the setup of the bishop, and this game also had it, I guess. And then black normally tries to attack in the center of the board or on the king side. Yeah. So we had knight to c3, knight to f6, knight to f3, and then knight to c6. Now this is the 4 knights variation of the English Open. This is all standard theory. We had pawn to g3, still standard theory. Bishop to b4, queen to c2, castles, bishop to g2. What black and white are both doing is that they're developing their pieces, putting their pieces on the best squares. Like, this bishop is very good on this square because of in the long run, you want to attack this diagonal or the center of the board from g2. You don't want to waste your time moving your pawns too much just to develop your bishop. And then it also allows the king to castle early, this move. So they're all developing moves, and in development you want to put your pieces on like the best squares possible that they can be on. Okay, so we had pawn, rook to e8, and then pawn to a3, pawn to e4, and knight to g5. So this move does not really do very much harm to white's position, but the problem with this is that white had a better way of playing the game. This allows blacks to have like a big center, I guess. That's why the engine does not like it. But then the best move according to the engine was for white to just play bishop takes on b4. Now I think the reason why white did not go for this was that after bishop takes, let me just play it out. Bishop takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, knight takes, attacks the queen moves to b3, and then there's this check. And I think that white did not want to go for this line because he's not going to be able to castle, because he has moved his king. But this is very fine for black, because this guy is hanging right now. So that means he has to move the knight away, and then you can always put your king on g2 and then move your rook to the center of the board. So I don't know exactly. It just doesn't look nice though when you calculate up until this position and you see that you cannot castle. So I will not blame white for playing knight to g5. You don't want to move your knight back to g1 because you're underdeveloping your piece. It doesn't make sense. At least from g5 you can move down back to h3. You can have ideas of pushing your pawns like this. So bishop captured on c3. We had pawn takes on c3, and then queen to e7 defending this pawn. Okay, so we had castles and then pawn to h6. Knight drop back to h3. You cannot capture the pawn because you're going to lose your knight if you do so. In case you don't believe me, this is the line. Oh god, this is the line of how it's going to look like. It's going to be down a knight. Yeah. So don't capture the pawn. White went to h3. Now we had pawn to d6, and then we had knight to f4. queen to e5, putting the queen on a better square. Again, this is the opening stage of the game, so everybody wants to get their pieces on like the best squares. We had pawn to d4, and we had queen to a5. The Indian likes the idea of the idea of bringing the queen to f5, maybe just queen to f5 straight, or en passant, and then queen to f5. Yeah, that's, I'm following the lines of the engine. I have no idea why the engine wants that, but that's what the engine wants. Now black did not en passant. I don't know how black was able to resist the urge of en passanting. So black went queen to a5, and then we had rook to b1. Okay, we had pawn to a6. I don't like pawn to a6 because it's just very passive. There are many things you can do apart from pawn to a6. You can improve the position of this rook, or you can play your knight to d8, when knight to d8, and route the knight to the center of the board, because the knight cannot move anywhere from this square. See, the knight is very, very immobile, right? That's why you want to have your pieces on good squares in the opening. So routing the knight is good, and it's okay because this is not a very fast game. It's still kind of, the development is still slow, so you have the time to do all of that, and you can always bring out a bishop to this square, or not this square, like this square, not that square either, because of the fork, or like this square. Yeah. So but then pawn to a6 doesn't really achieve much. There's no one that is trying to move to this square, and it's not even as if white had a b4 pawn or something, but it doesn't do any harm to the position. Again, you had queen to b3, and then bishop to f5. So black was telling white that white should grab the pawn, but then, I mean, if you grab the pawn, it's a very bad game for you, as you can see the evaluation bar dropping down in black's favor, because you lose your queen. After we have rook a to b8, queen takes on c6, and then bishop to d7, and then it's a queen for like a bishop and a rook, but it's not what it's. So you have this queen bishop takes on c6, and then we have the exchange like this. And this is very okay for black, because there are many weaknesses in white's position, and it's going to be easy for the queen to just go after all of them. And it's not only the queen, black also has the bishop and the knight. Yeah. Okay, so that was supposed to be the best move, but then, sorry, that was why black allowed white to go after the pawn, because black knew that it's a death trap, and apparently white also knew. So white played pawn to a6. Now pawn to h3 was best, and basically the engine wants white to do a prophylactic move. The reason why this is good is that it stops any idea of black playing knight to g4 or bishop to g4 in the future for any reason, right? So, but then pawn to e3 is also a good move. Then we had rook to b8 just to defend the pawn. Knight to d5, putting the knight in the center of the board and on a better square, and trying to trade pieces with black. So yeah, black went for the trade, and then knight went down to e7, knight to e7, and then we had pawn to c5 to c4. See, as I told you, when you play the English opening, you basically want to attack the queen side, and all of white's developments are towards the queen side, right? One other thing to notice is that whenever you want to attack, it's recommended to attack in the side of your pawn chain. So this is where the side of white's pawn chain is facing. So it's best to attack like on this side. That's the queen side. So we had pawn to c4, and then pawn to b5, pawn to c5, and then queen to a4. So actually, I have no idea why black would want to even play this move. But yeah, why black played it. I don't know what's wrong with just capturing, just take and take, and now you've arranged your pawn structure. See? But now, oh yeah, there's no, what am I saying? Okay, black didn't have any bad pawn structure, but just take the pawn and everything's going to be fine. I guess, okay, maybe the reason why black did not take was because he doesn't want to arrange white's pawn structure. But then you have good play from there. You can play your rook to d8 to hit this pawn. This pawn is going to be a very weak pawn, and this guy is doing well to block this bishop from hitting this guy. So you can be able to hit this guy. And then it's not going to be very difficult to play, really. So, but then queen to a4. Now you're allowing white to exchange and destroy your pawn structure, right? And after the rook exchange, you don't have any, like, white's position is very solid here. This pawn is defended by white's bishop. All this is a very good pawn chain. The king defends the pawn chain. This rook can move out freely to do whatever he wants to do. Yeah. So, and then we have also this guy's advancing. You cannot really, if you try to exchange here, it's not going to look very good for you. So we had pawn to f3. White is trying to open up this side, right? The bishop to be able to look at the diagonal. We had pawn to f3, pawn takes, bishop takes, and then bishop to d3. Now we had rook to d1, bishop to c4, and then pawn to e4 to defend the pawn because the bishop and the knight attacked the pawn on d5. Okay, so we had rook there to attack the bishop, bishop back to g2, and then pawn to g5. So again, pawn to g5 is not good. It's not bad, but it's an inaccuracy. This is the end game, so it's going to be tricky to explain why it's an inaccuracy. But the best move here was to play was pawn to f5, and basically you're going to activate your knight if black ever chooses to capture. And then if white chooses to capture. If white does not choose to capture, and let's say captures on d6, then you can just play cx on d6, and then after pawn to e5. Again, this is not good because this is bad. The pawn structure becomes bad for white, and the knight becomes more active in the position. Yeah. So if a move like pawn to e5 is played, you can take on d5, and this you will take on g2. Like it's very easy. If this, you can move your king to f7. You can play bishop to c6 to stop this guy from queening, and the game is going to be okay. Yeah. Okay. So we have pawn to h4, and then we had pawn to f5 finally. So now the best move here is, again, kind of tricky to explain, but I'll try. So here white played pawn to e5, but the best move was to play this. Now if black takes, it's going to be bad for black, right? Because the bishop is going to take on g5 and hit the knight, and you don't have, like, you no longer have any of this. Like, the knight is supposed to attack this pawn together with the bishop, but now the knight has to move. So let's say the knight moves to let's say this square, or let's put a good square. Let's say the knight moves to g6. Now you can either take here, or no, you cannot, or you cannot take there. You can't take there because of rook takes on g3. So what you want to do here, you want to play rook to king to h2 first, and if this happens, you can just capture, and now you're hitting the knight again 2 times, and your pieces are becoming more active than they were like on this square. You see the bishop is not very active here, but then if something like this happens, something like this happens, then now the bishop becomes very active. Okay, so pawn takes on, sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. So pawn to e5, and then we had knight takes on d5. So pawn takes, and then pawn takes. Rook to that square, attacking the pawn, to b6, attacking the pawn. We had pawn takes on g5, pawn takes on g5, bishop takes on g5, and then we have rook takes on c6. So everything is still equal. The game is still looking drawish. Everybody's pieces are on like some good squares. This rook is passive, but the bishops are on very, very, very nice squares. So we had rook to c1, attacking the bishop, bishop to b3, bishop to h3, rook to g4 to g6, and then bishop back to h to g4. Again, the game is still drawish. You don't need to like do too much stuff here, right? So we had pawn to e4, king to f2, pawn takes, bishop takes. One key moment in this position is whenever you have like a drawn position, it might become more drawish if you exchange your pawns, because let's say you have like in this position now, if you have just rook and 2 bishops versus a rook, a knight and a bishop, it's going to be much more easier than when you have a pawn. And if your opponent or you has a passed pawn, then it's going to be like much more what's the word, imbalanced, or much more difficult for one of the sides to play. Yeah. Okay, so in this case, everything is okay. The computer slightly prefers white's position, but it's just 0.2. We have rook to f6 and then king to g1, knight to f4, rook check, king check, and they were just dancing around the board. Nothing much is really happening here. Everything is going well. I mean, everything was going well until in this position, not in this exact position, but like around this position, black played rook to a2. And you can see how the engine jumps very well in white's favor. So I want you to pause the video and try and find the best move for white in this position while I give you a couple of time and also rest from talking. If you're able to find the position, then kudos to you. You're a very wonderful tactician. If you were not able to find the position, that's why you have me here. I'm going to show you what the position is. Now, the move is kind of a very simple move. For those of you who are like 1700 and above, you'll be able to spot this move like pretty fast. So the best move here, and what white did was white sacrificed the rook. I don't know how that came out. I hope that came out. Yeah, the rook was sacrificed. And here, if the king takes, it might look as if we just lost our rook for nothing. But then white has this amazing bishop to d5 move, which hits the king and the rook at the same time, which is a fork. And then the king has to move back, and then we capture the rook. Now, this is a very, very easy game to win for white, right? So the game did not continue. FM PD Master Danyefa Callistus resigned in this game, and now I'm going to show you the standings. So back to the standings, the Tersee Ferdinand came out on top together with FM Abdulrahman, and now they have to play the tiebreak. Actually, as at now, they are playing the tiebreak. So I'm going to probably pick one of their games and then look at it very fast in the next video. So we have him and Abdulrahman on 7.5 points. We have Callistus on 6.5, Odion on 6.5, Balogun on 6.5, and then the list goes down. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to probably release another one today, and and tell you what happened at the end of everything. Now, I know that I said I was going to talk about a gossip, right? A rumor. Now the rumor is this: Callistus is a feeding master, and some people said that we're trying to say that maybe there was like match fixing or something like that, because I mean it's difficult for you to blunder this kind of move. Like, it's actually pretty easy especially when you're a feeding master. But the thing is this: you have to put into, actually this is my view on it, you have to put into consideration that this is round 11 and these guys are very tired. They play like very long games and they play 2 games a day, not 1, right? And if you watched the chess championship, the world chess championship, in the final round, Ding did not win, did not lose, because normally he wouldn't find that kind of stuff. It's easy to find, but because they are mentally stressed, right? You cannot blame them for not being able to calculate all of this stuff. And I know Callistus, I know Ferdinand, they are very, very, they are not people who want to take, like, you know, those kind of stuff, like dealing their games or something like that. And this is even federated. And Tersee Ferdinand is just a genius. I mean, I know people do things nowadays, but I really don't think that Callistus gave out the game, or they had a deal or something like that. Yeah, just let me know what you think in the comments down below, and yeah, we can discuss it in the comments. I'm going to put the link to the games in the description box down below, and if you liked this video, please like and subscribe the video, because it's going to help me a lot to be able to post more videos. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one very soon. Bye bye.